But did you get to watch the game at all this Saturday?
I did watch it. I actually was I'm in Houston right now, so I caught it at a restaurant called Twin Peaks,
Oh yeah.
and I
Yeah, I've heard of
and I
that.
guess it was an interesting game. Maybe if you were a Cyclone, but other than that, with the score, it was tough to keep consistent the TV on. Right, they kept switching the channel, so it was a lot of server. Can you cut
Oh
it back
yeah.
on the game? Um, but I did manage to catch the game this week, last weekend.
So did you see the comparison between the Stanford game? They're playing the number 3 Oregon and their crowd versus our crowd.
I didn't see that, but I can already imagine what Cyclone Nation did.
Yeah. They had like 15,000 at Stanford, and we
Wow.
had about 60 to play Kansas. So I mean, that's all you need to. That's all you need. Crazy.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the Twitter post of the Las Vegas, and it was like complete takeover, which I already imagined, but it was like just to see it is like, oh wow, Cyclone Nation.
Yeah, he was there. He witnessed it.
It was kind of like very similar to when you were playing the Alamo Bowl. It was kind of like one area where Cycle Nation just absolutely took over, and doing it in Vegas, like San Antonio, that's like one of my brightest memories as an Iowa State fan, going down the Alamo Bowl. It didn't work out in the game, but man, that was really fun. Like
Great
outside
experience.
of the game, yeah. And about that game, like that Alamo game really hurts because like you have 2 targeting calls. Like as a player, when you see 2 key guys just very like, I mean, the Harvey one I kind of understood, but the Wazirike one, like how do you like go like regroup after that?
Yeah, I think that may be one of the games that it was an in-game emotion when it happened. Like usually you kind of just, all right, next guy up, because the game doesn't stop you. They just kick them out and you playing with whoever comes in. But I think that game did have a initial reaction. I'm not sure what maybe stirred it. Maybe it was our last senior game. Obviously, it was a big game, but I definitely say it was big emotion. Just with that senior going out, a guy that deserved to play, and then a call that you don't agree with. That's a lot. Obviously, we train, we practice the next man to be ready. But like I said, that initial reaction in that game was I definitely felt it as a man down, and less of who's coming in next, but just literally like a man that doesn't get to play that earned that right to experience that bowl game. So
Yeah, that was a tough one. Man,
it was.
me and
It
my
was.
me and my brother's friends were, man, we probably handled it way better than we did because we were like, if there's security around us, we would have gotten kicked out of the stadium.
I think you probably should have got kicked out.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the targeting rule? I mean, I used to officiate football in high school at one time, and so I try to understand the rules and see it from the official standpoint. Man, it seems like every week it depends on who's looking at it that I don't know how you adjust to it as a player.
Yeah. It's crazy because like I kind of have that old school kind of coaching. I was brought up like that, but still trying to play with these modern rules that kind of evolve as the day go. And honestly, as a defensive player with my aggression, I still have a hard time of understanding how do you make that play, right? Like we're talking about high caliber athletes that's cutting on a dime, that's changing direction. And I don't think spectators or even if you really never played the game at that level, I don't think you really understand that it's not an easy tackle. So sometimes it is belligerent targeting, like some guys are. It's not the safety of the game. They're kind of abusing that. And I definitely can see how that's targeting, right? You have that option of throwing a shoulder or throwing your head. But some tackles that's just, man, I barely got them. It could have been a shoestring tackle. We just happened to collide helmets. I think those calls are pretty difficult to deal with, which almost makes that defender have to be that much better in the sense of staying on your feet, getting in the right position, moving your hips. And it's a tough thing, right? Like at Iowa State, we practice rugby tackling. We tackle different forms of tackling to just respect and have the safety of the game. But like I said, when it's coming down, you're going against an elite guy that's trying to make you miss, and you trying to grab them from whatever you can grab. I I think some calls can be looked at, but I think it'll come at discretionary. But I'm in the boat with you. I don't know how we can keep that enthusiasm and passion in the game, but still that safety. But like I said, some tackles are, you can see it, right? You could be like, he tried to literally dismantle the guy, and I think that deserves a flag just with where the rules are going. But some tackles, man, we just trying to get the guy down.
What would you change the rule? Like if it was just Brian Peavy, you get to change the rule. What would you propose?
Honestly, like I said, I was raised in a sense of there was no targeting, right? So it's kind of like I knew what I was signing up for, and I think it's a tough one because like I respect the call, I respect the research that's going into CTE and what's going into concussions. So I almost want to say I would rather retract, but I understand what, like I said, evolving and the safety of the game. I would honestly give it to the ref to they can huddle up and make that decision. And I would respect that call enough if it was more of, all right, this was live. The energy in the stadium was kind of called for it. It's a great hit at a great time, right? Like you can see the difference between the fourth down, the game's on the line, fourth quarter, and we need a turnover, right? Like, of course, that hit's going to be harder. There's going to be more emphasis, more passion in it. And I think the ref can make that discretionary call saying, like, man, this guy's just trying to win. He's not trying to end the guy's career, right? I think if we give that leeway to the ref, I think it would be a better game rather than going off of a strict rule, a strict law that doesn't really meet that play at the time. I think that's a better protocol. Like I said, I've seen guys get kicked out in the first quarter, second quarter, and it's like I'm not even warmed up yet. Like I'm not even. Yeah. The game's not even intense. And I have to applaud offense. I don't see a lot of flopping, right? Like I don't see a lot of guys. If they go down, it's not like whatever. Maybe you see a quarterback tap his helmet, but for the most part. A lot of guys are honest. Like if it's that big hit collision, you'll see guys lay down, and I think that's where it should be a huddle in. But I think most guys get up and get to the next down, especially with hurry up offenses. You see guys wanting to keep playing, not later. So if I had to make a decision, I would just say let's give it to the ref. I mean, those guys are well trained. They actually put in several years, especially at this level of ball. And let's put the game in their hand. Obviously, everything else is in their hand. Why not put that call in their hand as well?
Well, I think you made a good point. I mean, you guys are playing at such a high speed. When you put a 4-4 guy against a 4-4 guy, that gap closes so fast that I don't think it's fair to review that in slow motion versus what you just said, going game speed, because they're two different things.
They're two totally different things.
I mean, like when Hasheem got kicked out, I mean, you guys are old enough to be my kids, and I felt so bad for him. And I kept screaming to the TV. I said, stop showing him on TV. I mean, he's one of our best players. He's so much fun to watch. And I just felt so bad for him. You know, I used to coach and everything, so I kind of see it from the player standpoint too. And I just felt so bad for him as a human being that he got kicked out of the biggest game of his life at the time. I mean,
yeah, seeing those guys play in the Big 12 championship, like when you watch are you watching? You're obviously a fan, but like, are you kind of jealous? He's like, man, I wish I was out there playing against.
Not at all, not at all. I love my experience, so I don't think I carry that as that should be me. I think I came from that era of I was with Coach Rhodes, so I seen where we were and where it is today, and so I understand what it means to take a step. So when I watch the game, I'm almost what you want to say, a great sideline kind of guy, right? I'm not truly committed to the stands of a fan, just because I'm looking at the details, right? Like when it's a timeout, I'm not high five, and I'm kind of looking at, all right, who's coach talking to? Where is this guy's mind? Because he just had a play ago, whether he scored or didn't score or something great happened. So I'm kind of still analyzing the game as a leader, as a player, which is, like I said, it's sometimes beautiful, And then it's sometimes like, all right, where can I watch this game, or how can I be a part of it? But yeah, my heart's still there. But I think I like where it's going, and all I can do is kind of be present and pour into the program as much as I can where I can. I was just able to be around the guys maybe what was that, the week before Baylor, right? Okay. I was able to see that new facility, and it's amazing. I was able to see those lockers, and I think the first thing that hit me was like, wow, right? Obviously, I had my imagination like, yeah, I could live there. But it was great to see on their lockers they have the details of all the bowls guys have played in, all the big games, right? The Big 12 championship. And to still see some of those guys like Orion Vance, who was in Memphis with our team. So to see his sticker is still a representation of me, right? So it's like I still live on with the cardinal and gold and black, right? So I would say, I love my seat right now. And then just being an alumni, I'm glad you brought up Seneca, right? So now I'm in those conversations, or I'm in that huddle of communication, right? Dan Becker, just great alumni that still bleed Cyclone Nation. So I'm enjoying my seat.
So do you have a hard time, where we were analyzing one of the games, and it's when you're watching the TV broadcast, you see such a narrow scope of the game. You don't see the wide angle. So you can't really look at coverages. You can't look at routes. Is that hard for you to, say, I'd really like to see what, is the secondary rolling where they should or whatever? Is it hard for you to watch that and not being able to see the whole thing?
Oh man, that's tough. I was just talking to one of my ex-teammates, right? A great friend of mine, Will Wyndham, right? And we like, man, if we can just get our hands on some film, we'll know exactly where we sit as the team. Like it got to the point we don't even we watch the game, but we know it's the little things, right? It's like, okay, yeah, Brock got sacked, but where did it come from? Did Foster not get his hands inside? Was his right foot slow? But we look at those things. So I don't think a TV copy, unless you keep watching it and rewinding it and pausing it. Like I said, you have to have control of the remote, and even then, it's not enough. But it's just those little things, right? It's like, yeah, maybe we won by 7, maybe we lost by 7, but I know how we won at Iowa State, and it was always the little things. That's what Coach Campbell embarked on, even Rhodes embarked on, is how a Cyclone Nation or how Iowa State win, and it's blue collars and the details. So I don't think TV copy covers that.
With the TV copy, people don't really they'll remember you because you were a stud, all-American type of guy. But as a cornerback, if you're locking a guy down, you're not on TV. You were that good. You barely got thrown to, but when you really think of the micro, they're in there making tackles because they're getting the ball going that direction. When you're guarding CeeDee Lamb and Hollywood Brown and all these studs, and you're making a good play, and there's NFL crazy type athletes that you shut down in some games, but those aren't highlights at the end of the game. But so you beat Baker Mayfield, Mark Andrews, CeeDee Lamb, but you were a big part of that game because everyone was flying around and everything came together. But yeah,
that's a little thing.
Is that kind of frustrating for you? That's just a badge of honor. I shut down this guy, but I won't get the credit I deserve, but I did my part.
Oh man, I think that's what you sign up for. I think that's what makes a team a team. Because like I said, I think my parallel of the team, right? Who or what I guess a lot of people don't really recognize is I think O-line is very similar to cornerback from movements and that recognition. So if the guys can get nasty every play and not complain, it's who am I to do my job and kind of seek that recognition? I definitely understand where you're coming from. But I think you kind of transition to, the love of the game. Or honestly, if you think about why you started, honestly, it was really never ESPN at when I was like starting out, right? Like, yeah, my mother and my father had a camcorder. But honestly, it was just about doing your job, having fun. Maybe you exchange some words with the receiver. But I mean, like I said, it's enough in itself, right? When you do get your opportunity, it's definitely great to make that play, and what comes with it is maybe camera time. But for the most part, you just kind of on the island. I don't know, just kind of in your own world. Sometimes you can talk to the sideline, the other team's sideline, or you hear guys on your team talking. So it's enough entertainment, right?
Yeah.
But as far as the recognition, man, if O-line, like I said, can get nasty and create holes and all that stuff they do, and never complain and do it day in and day out. As a teammate, I can't see myself having a fuss about it.
And like another thing about the recognition part, like you kind of get recognized the year after if you'd like the cornerbacks decline a lot, but you have to pass the torch to Anthony Johnson, who I don't think gets half the credit he should, because you were like an All-American. There was like really not a huge drop off, which is very new in Iowa State land. Like you knew coming into Iowa State, but like Anthony Johnson has really taken the baton from you and been an absolute stud at Iowa State. Like when you see him playing, you probably were a mentor to him. And you just have like, man, he's grown into his own.
Oh man, and I definitely got to give credit to Anthony. But it's like almost like I got to go back to history too, right? I was a part of both. And although our record may not show that we did have those tinkers and I guess those buns that we did have, I got to bring up guys like we call them Boozy. Or you look at Leonard Johnson that played with Tampa, I believe.
Yeah.
Those guys actually wrapped their arms around me, right, and kind of showed me what it looked like to not drop the ball, to not represent the name on the front but the back of your jersey. So I would have to obviously give credit to those guys before me. But then, like you said, like you look at Anthony Johnson, came in as a young pup. Obviously, we knew he had talent. Maybe not ready to grab those reins, but obviously had that interest, which made it easier for me, guys like DeAndre Payne, and that's whole safety core. I think we had a whole safety of seniors that kind of like that helped with the younger guys. So I don't take full credit for that. But Anthony, he was, and Speedy also, like those were guys that wanted to get better. That it was almost like they knew their time was going to come. And they never missed a beat. They were always ready. And I think you see that now. Like this, I like watching him play because they actually throw it his way, man. So he actually he's flying around, getting his hands on balls. Show you, not ton, but it'll show you that, like he has his big boy pants on. So I love to see that.
So yeah, like, well, what game like you like look like when you. Do you ever rewatch games like, man, that game was just, I'll never forget that game? Is it the Oklahoma game? Is it the TCU game where you had the interception?
Oh, it's crazy because I'm not a TV copy guy. So if I do watch a game, it's probably something that's already cut up. And I think that gets me going enough. Whether it's me making a play, Joe landing, playing quarterback and switching the linebacker. I even go way back to the Demond Tuckers, the Sack Man, what do you call him, like Sack Mamba or something? Dale Pearson. I think I go back a lot rather than just kind of zoning in on specific games. If I had to bring up, I don't know, man. It's like when you talking to another teammate of yours, it's like. It just becomes vivid, right? Like off the top of the head, obviously like TCU games come up, Hawkeye games come up, Texas games come up, Baylor games come up. It's like I think I was so present during those games that they meant so much to me that they're kind of easy to remember. And I had this pretty much a detailed process of how I went into each week. So a lot of times I can bring back good memories. And like I said, I was just talking to some of my old teammates, and most of the time we talk about things that led up to the week rather than the game itself. Or sometimes they just happen to come together, right? You'll say, man, remember he did this on Tuesday, and that's why it happened in the game. Like those moments. But like I said, I can, like I said, you bring up TCU, my interception, I have to recall Marcel's interception that kind of sealed the game.
Absolutely.
The jump interception. So I mean, when guys make a play, obviously, like I said, I was present on the field, and I was ultimately happy for them. So I take their plays just as mine. Like you see DeAndre Payne, West Virginia interception. Like it's obviously a 40. I don't know, it was up 30 or 40. But like when those guys, when you making plays, man, it's memorable because obviously that's what you signed up for. And that's the game plan.
So like we're gonna talk. We talked about the highs. So like, what loss stings the hardest? Is it the Kansas State picked up flags Lazard game? Is it the Alamo Bowl? Is it I can stop there.
Man, I honestly hate to bring this up because I would say it wasn't my best performance. Obviously, I think I gave it my best. But it was the Iowa game, man. I think
CJ Beathard.
I think it was overtime, maybe.
Or was it the CJ Beathard one where he like ran? That one.
It was a home game.
Yeah.
I think I gave up maybe three. I gave up maybe 3 touchdowns. Like it's a tough one to talk about. Not because it's the Hawkeyes, just because of my performance. I don't beat myself over it, but I do always think about like, maybe I should never wear those black socks in September. And like I think about things like that. But when you talk about a tough team loss, that K-State I think that K-State game, just because I think that was the first time I may have seen like Coach Campbell lose it. I think on the TV copy, you all see more than we see on the sideline. Sometimes you just kind of trying to catch your breath. But that was, I think he didn't bring it into the locker room, but I think I was kind of sagging back to see, like he had some words for the ref as we walked into the locker room, right? And you just seen that passion, which made the game sting even more because it was like, how could you not make that? And I believe we had something on the line too. Maybe I think we could have got to the Big 12 championship if we win that game and win the next one. And that was almost like, I think it hurt the most because for the first time, I guess, in school history, me being there, rather, we were actually like playing for something big, right? Like we wasn't just playing for a 6-game win. It was like, wait, we could have actually like had a shot at.
Didn't Campbell have a quote about 6-win programs or something like that? If you're trying to win 6 games, you're a BS program or something like that.
Yeah.
That kind of like that was like that statement really like changed our mindset as fans because like we just wanted to go bowl game, just to travel, but like Campbell's just completely shifted the mindset, and I'm sure you from day one you showed up there to when you left, probably night and day, right?
Night and day, man, because it was absurd to me, honestly, like coming into a program with packed out stadium and it's like, dang, all they want is 6 wins. It was like, I was like, what, 17, 18. I didn't really understand that because like I came from a football country, right? And it's like you sign up to win it all, no matter who you are, even if you don't have a bone in the fight. It's like football galore here. And to come into that college atmosphere and like Cyclone Nation packed it out, I didn't understand. I had a conversation with Maurice Linguist, Coach Mo, and it was almost a personal thing, right? It's like, Coach, I was like, I'm almost losing myself, my identity, because I don't really know how to shoot for 6 wins, right? And this was just an honest kid just kind of saying like, I don't understand, right? Because all season we practice hard. We're doing extra, like this is me doing the college program, so it's all new, and it's like, man, we're not working out like we just want to win 6 games. Like we actually working out like I thought we were trying to win it all. So to hear like comments like that and that being the energy and the goal and the vision, I didn't honestly, like I said, I didn't understand it, and when Coach Campbell came in and he demanded more, right? It wasn't, all right, this year we're going to try. It was like, man, we can win it all now. And I think guys start believing in themselves, right? Like the workload, I wouldn't say it changed. I would just say the intention changed. Like we didn't go out and say, oh, we're playing Oklahoma, let's just give it a good fight. But we actually said, like, let's win. And as you can see, as usual, we're always in the game, right? Like even with Coach Rose, we were always pretty close, no matter when it died or where it died. It was like, man, these guys like not that good. Or I can't say not that good, but it's like, are they that much better than us that we can't pull out? Man, like we won in 2 games, 3 games of the season. And like you said, man, when Coach Campbell brought that intention, that just it switched in the culture first, our program, and then I think it spread it across the fan base. And now I feel like we're at that point where it's almost like we have to piece it together, but we have to keep our identity. And I think once we understand how those two mesh, man, I think you'll see the true vision of Coach Campbell come to fruition.
I think it's been a real mindset change that, after the season hasn't started like what we envisioned it was, but I think we get a little myopic and thinking about ourselves only, and then realize everybody else is practicing too. So that's why when we're playing Baylor and Iowa, they're getting ready for a season as well. But I said, right, we've come a long ways where there's going to be fans out there that are going to be disappointed if we're 8-4. And so that mindset has definitely shifted a long ways in a very, very short period of time.
Oh yeah. And I love to see it. Like when I go around that program, I love to see, I guess, new faces, but still wearing the Iowa State, the blue collar mentality. It's one of those things like, we still don't get 5 stars, but we're competing at that level. And it's like, man, that's what you want. You want to keep that identity of what built that culture, and you ultimately want to keep climbing. Culture over scheme. I think that was one of the biggest signs in a facility. So.
How much does that have to do? Like, you were kind of under recruited, like Brees Hall, we were his first offer. How much does it do, like, as coming up, like, I'm under recruited, underappreciated, and coming to Iowa State where we're kind of underappreciated, and just it fits your identity, which I think why you fit so well at Iowa State. And I think it just fell into place. And my dad's been an Iowa State fan for a long time. It's just the passion's been there for the fan base, but it's finally nice to see the players understand that, hey, we can do something at Ames, Iowa, and having a coach like Matt Campbell at the helm, it's just a perfect recipe. And we lost to Baylor and Iowa, sure, but like we kind of got to remember where we came from and how far we've gone in a short period of time. And I just like when you like come off a hard loss like that. What's the difference between the Rhodes era and the Paul Rhodes era, or not the Paul Rhodes era and the Campbell era?
Oh man,
we don't try to get anybody throw anybody under the bus either. We're just like
if I had 2 options, or I think people, I think we don't get in arguments, but we had these discussions, and I would say like, how do I want to put it? I would say, man, they're great at what they do. I think it's just a matter of timing and a matter of like what do you have to work with, and how you lay it down, right? Like Coach Rose still talk to him to this day. Yeah. Coach Campbell still talk to him to this day. Would I trade anything? No, because I've learned a process through both organizations and both coaching staff. And I learned what makes a program. And I'm gonna hit your question, but I just got to break this down, right? I learned that a program is more than the face of that head coach. So a lot of guys may see Paul Rhodes and Coach Campbell, but they don't see who the trainer is, right? Mark Cobley, who the equipment staff is. You got the media guy, Modal. And I was just an analytical guy, right? And I just seen how everything operated, and I seen how things were fluid, and I seen how it just aligned. So if you almost move different pieces it's a different understanding of Coach Rhodes. It's a different understanding of Coach Campbell. But to answer your question of after a loss, how we took it, and it almost, I can piggyback on what I just said. It was a matter of, it almost is that intention, right? Like we lose with Coach Campbell, and I'll give you a sneak peek of what the after game looked like, right? You had a Coach Rhodes after a tough loss, and it was like almost like a sob, pat on the back. We fought hard, while Campbell was more, he had a way of approaching it, not discouraging, but it was like, how are we going to respond, right? We can come. I mean, they both kind of played that role, but you could tell Campbell was disappointed because he pointed out those little plays, right? It was, hey man, we can't have a third, similar to the Big 12 championship. We can't be on a great drive and shoot ourselves in the foot. We can't have offensive false start penalties if we want to win a Big 12 championship. That's not the kind of team we are. That's not the culture. We can't afford to lose the little margins. We can't lose the turnover margin. We can't have the penalties. And I think as a team, we understood that. It was like, man, that's true. Like, we didn't even give our elite receivers that shot to make that play in end zone because we killed ourselves. While I think Rose just kind of had an overview of the game, right? Like, man, guys, we came out there, we played hard. We only lost by 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown. We lost Oklahoma by 7 points, right? And it was like, all right, where do I go from there? It's like, it's a loss. I don't know where I take tomorrow. While Campbell, like I said, he dived into that detail of, wow, if I change that maybe I can't make that play. So that takes you to tomorrow of, okay, now I'm going to work on that play. Literally. I don't know if you guys heard about how guys used to come in after practice or night sessions. And literally that's what guys were doing. They were taking those words that could have been seen as harsh, but they were actually applying it, man. Like, you see a guy drop a catch, and now you see this guy like put in extra work of 500 catches a day. And that was the difference. We almost had direction. We had the coach actually saying, you are good enough, and this is why it didn't happen. And we kind of just like rallied together and locked in on those small details. And I'll say that was the difference, honestly.
So is that kind of the stories we've heard about David Montgomery and working on Sundays and all that kind of stuff? I mean,
and when you talk about Dave, there's not a lot of words you can use to sum that guy up.
He's doing okay for himself too.
Oh man, that's, like I said, it's not a lot of words you can use. I think I just used the word it's natural for him. He wants it. He goes after it. I guess like no matter the weather, the condition, it's one of like a guy that just loved the game and loved everything about it. So that's a tough one.
He had a good day yesterday. Yeah. Holy mackerel!
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's not a surprise. I think you hear most guys speak about him. It's just not a surprise. So I'm definitely proud of him.
Yeah,
the one probably you look at Campbell. Like the only slight you can say about the guy is probably September. What do you think it is? Why do we keep going with slow starts? Like, what do you think? Like, because we're used to as Iowa State fans, like before even you were there, like we'd play very good in the first couple of games and then flame out. Now it's reversed. We come out slow and then we pick up, and we're just like, wow, why can't we start like that? So like, what do you think that is?
And it's obvious Campbell's frustrated about it too. Yeah. He's talked about it at press conferences many times.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I guess if I just had to give my opinion, right, which could be wrong or right, I would almost say we're at that stage of ownership. And it's like, okay, we went from a phase of not knowing we're good enough to knowing like, okay, we can compete. I think it's that time to say this is who we are and this is us unapologetically, right? So it's that DB that has that confidence to say, I don't need to get warmed up to say, he's not going to catch it anymore. I think it's that mindset of saying he's not going to catch anything for the whole season. And I think instead of coming to a game and coming to September as, man, we know we can play with these guys, let's do what we should do. I think it's more of let's dominate. And what dominate look like is it's not a feel. It's it's execution. It's Brock, don't feel it through, just throw it, right? And if we drop it, that's fine. At least we know where we are and where we're not. I think a lot of times we can get, especially as players, right? You worked all season, and then the match comes and it's like, is it really true, right? Like, did all those reps really mean something? And I think we kind of get to that slow start of kind of feeling like, man, I can move this guy, instead of saying like, I'm going to move this guy. That's what that offseason was for. And it's just happening. I think we tinker a lot. And obviously just coming into the season, I think we have to change our look on, I think you and I is usually the first game or opponent that we're supposed to dominate. I think we shouldn't really look at it like that. I think we should just look at it as, a match that we should dominate. I think in that off season, it's a lot of media, man. It's a lot of media. It's tons of media saying Iowa State should be this. Is it a fluke? Are they the real deal? And it's like, I think a lot of times we get in that position of let's not buy into the media, but I think it's almost time we actually do buy into the media. And I say that to say, and Iowa State should dominate this team. I think it's actually time for us to say, yes, we should dominate them, and not take the modest, humble approach of, we're Iowa State, we're going to come in humble. No, I think it's time as a player mentally to say, yes, like you're right, I'm going to dominate. And I think that's when we'll see those fast starts of, like I said, I hate to agree with media because it can turn on you left and right. But I think that mindset have to switch of necessarily not taking their words, but understanding what they're saying. Like it's just that what we have to grasp, right? And I think that'll change the slow start because, like I said, there's no difference in 3 games under your belt saying, this player got better. Like that player been put in that work. He's been good enough. It's just a matter of him clicking a switch on of that takeover mentality. So, do you think we've had a hard time? I mean, do you think part of it is that, at the beginning of your career, we were always the hunter, and then now when expectations have changed, we are the hunted, and now we're out of the top 25, we're back to being the hunter, and so it wouldn't surprise me a bit. I mean, if we went out, because I think that mindset is flipped versus. Reading, we had to spend an entire offseason, which didn't help the fans with their expectations either, listening to how great we're supposed to be all year and thinking, we're the next coming of the Patriots. when we're the whole summer, and then we come out as a top 10 team, and then, we have to play, and I'll go to my grave saying, when we play UNI, it is a different animal versus playing some directional school from Michigan or someplace like that. Those are Iowa kids that are jacked for that game because they feel slighted about not going to Iowa or Iowa State. So, I don't know. I think our mindset after watching us play so loose on Saturday, and that being said, Kansas is awful. So that's not. You can't. I don't know. Well, we won't really know till we play Oklahoma State. But I think that we've switched to being a hunter again. Yeah, I think that's going to help. And I wouldn't be surprised we can come on and just play that well against Oklahoma State. And yep. And I think you're 100% correct. It's almost like you just that's the edge, right? That's the edge of when you compare two teams and you say, all right, who makes that play? Who comes out with this win? And it's ultimately the guy that wants it more. And most of the time that is the hunter in most situations. Why? Because it's relentless. I'm going to chase this ball, this play, this goal until it's completed. And that's why you see a lot of our losses come down to those inches. And that's one reason why I love Iowa State, because I understand that's how we won, right? So it's obviously strength, weakness, two-point sword is like that's more than likely how you're going to lose. And I think when you understand that reason of wow, so it's just those couple plays, and you continue to be the hunter in those situations, you come out on the other side.
And your senior year couldn't start out any weirder. You come out and the whole fan base is jacked up. We just won Memphis. We just won our first bowl game in centuries, and
centuries. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying we get all jazzed up. We have a full day of tailgating. Obviously, you guys are getting prepared, and we have our first game canceled since JFK got shot.
Like 2 plays.
Yeah.
Yep, about 2 plays.
And I was there. I mean, I was there tailgating the whole time, and I remember I had where I was sitting, I had a perfect vision of Mike Rose. And everybody was talking about how great Mike Rose is going to be. And that dude goes from sideline to sideline in the first 2 plays. And I said, I think this kid's legit. And then that was the end of the game. Yeah. We didn't get to see him play the rest of the time.
So, like, how much did that hurt the team? Because, like, get the game canceled, you get all jazzed up, and then you have to play Iowa. Like, you prepare for this one team, and you don't get to play them. It's like, all right, we got to go play Iowa now. Was that hard on your team?
It's definitely one of those things. You want guys to get those reps. You want guys to get acclimated with going down, catching the ball under the lights with fans. Just getting back in the gist of college football. I think it comes down to the greater good of the team. So if I had to say, was it beneficial for us? Obviously, I think I have to say it was detrimental just with how our playing style was, right? We kind of was still feeling like, are we good enough? Obviously, we had energy to take care of that game, but it's different when you got something to come back to tomorrow and say, dang, or I lined up wrong, or we didn't get that 3rd down because of this, or we got that 4th down because of this. You kind of get that pride and those results from that off-season training. So I think it's when you lose a game, I think it's definitely hard on a team who need that experience. Like I think that's my senior year. We put Drake on at the end of the schedule, and that was for more reasons than a win or an easy win. Right? It's man, we need reps. We need that experience of just being out there, just like I said, getting a line, getting different guys the ball. Obviously, we had weather conditions.
Oh, that Drake game was brutal. You were playing on a skating rink. It must have been a hockey game.
And like
that was.
What's the number one like strength we have versus Drake? Speed. We'll take that away, and that's what that game was.
Right. As a player, that was one of those games where, luckily, it was still kind of manageable, but we was all looking at each other like, yeah, it's going to come down to pretty much being in the right spot at the right time. So a lot of times we were, I can't say guessing, but like you said, when you take away that speed, it's almost like, all right, maybe if I line up here, we'll get better results. But when it came to just skill, it was equal. It was a slippery slope.
So how did you guys from Texas handle playing on a skating rink? I mean, you got some of you Florida and Texas guys probably saying, what are we doing? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I think the first thing to go is your toes. So that tells you right there, it's like, all right, I don't know how beneficial I'll be for the team. I mean, like I said, I line up and wish for the best. But yeah, just being a Texas guy, it was always about getting back to the heated benches.
It's like you guys just had a very emotional win against Kansas State. Like the year before, you got hosed, and you finally come back and win that game. Like that's the way your career should have ended in Jack Trice. And then we go and play Drake. It sleeted and rained the whole 2 days before the game and during the game. And like there was probably like 5,000 people there. and you picturing,
which was amazing.
yeah, it was like what, like
I still
10
remember
degrees out.
I still remember watching David Montgomery try to make a cut.
Yeah, it's like because
I mean, it looked like he was on a kitchen floor that was covered with water. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah, and
I definitely take a mud game over that.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
You guys came in like 40-point favorites or something like that.
Yeah, that was silly.
Yeah. So yeah, like, have you seen the team practice? Is there any like young guys that you see molding in, like you see yourself in, or have you been able to get into practice and see these young guys?
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the more enjoyable. Oh wow, my computer! I need to charge it. I think that's one of the more enjoyable things. Is actually it's like, to me, that's just like watching film, because now I get to actually see whatever I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the practice I was just at, what I told another alumni that was there watching as well, I said, there's no drop in quality of ball. Like when I was there, you'll get we had depth issues, right? It was like, this guy goes down.
If you need to take a second to plug that in, go ahead. You're not going to bother us.
I'm actually in a great spot where I can just plug in. So I'm all right. Yeah, so that's the first thing that I witnessed is it's not a drop in quality. So I know a lot of practices or programs, they go ones versus twos versus ones. Like you get other guys to service your ones, and it wasn't a drop off. That's the first thing I'm thinking. You got walk-ons, right, that can make plays, not necessarily just prideful and special teams, but guys that can actually get out there and make a play, right? Even when I play, you had guys like Trevor Ryan. But as we know, Trevor Ryan was a starter, ended up earning a scholarship. I think we have those walk-ons now that won't necessarily get a scholarship because of financial circumstances and room for that. But those are guys that if they played in my era would have been a Trevor Ryan. And when you see things like that, that tells you that's a great signal of where a program is going in direction. So when you bring up young guys, oh man, I can't name them, but I know guys like number 16, the receiver, they speak highly of him.
Daniel Jackson, I think. Daniel Jackson.
25 finally got seen him at corner versus Baylor. Getting those reps. And it's like, they're not just saying he can play, but he's actually playing. And then you hear like, man, he can play both ways. And you're like, wait, you were considering that? Because I know like guys like me and D-Payne, we're advocates of like punt return, right? The closer we can get the offense or get the ball, and they would just kind of like shine away, like, yeah, I hear you, go away. That's one of those things like you definitely can digest, like, so this guy in your eyes can make that, can make those plays, can go both ways at this level. So I think I speak very highly of the younger guys. Obviously defense, I think we're like all seniors right now. But I don't see a big drop off in those guys with experience leaving and those guys coming up. The skill level is definitely there. You got a quarterback behind Purdy that can play. You got Brock behind Brees that can run the ball. DJ Miller, young guy. And even more than ever, I think the COVID return of those older guys gave those young guys another year to learn and grow. I know Greg Osworth is leading that senior room. Tons of talent in that safety department. And like I said, I don't see a big fall off. I see guys, you look at the ones and twos and you say, wow, like you're looking at fresh bodies that maybe haven't even took 10 snaps and you're saying, wow, like he's growing. You got Coach Andrews, the strength coach, is magnificent is what he's doing there with Coach G and those other guys there. Just the development process. I don't see a drop off. I see a lot of positions that can step up and make plays.
So like, as Iowa State fans, we like just like brainstorm like fun ideas. Like, so like, what if COVID landed on your senior or Lazard's senior year and Lazard came back? How's that receiving core look? Like, already have Hakeem Butler was nasty, and having Lazard back for another year, and It would have been Purdy's first year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a great idea. Why? Because we were just getting started.
Yeah.
We were honestly just getting started, and we were aware of that. So we wasn't those guys that's like, I'm ready to get out of the program. I'm ready to go to the NFL. Like that really wasn't a talk, and I think that's what made us who we were. Like you had a guy like David that had an option to come out. Well, he did come out, right? But it wasn't like the talk of the universe. It wasn't like an Alabama where it's like, all right, this guy just signed up to play football. He's going to the NFL. Like we were still like one thing Coach Haycock always preached, like be a college student, go to college. So it was amazing because you had great players with bright futures to play at a big level, but still present. Like we still going to class. We still a cyclone. You didn't have like Allen didn't come in and say, man, I'm getting drafted. Or like we didn't wear hats that we didn't own yet. And I think that was the beautiful part, because if you do give us another year, we wasn't too far gone in the process of I need an agent and I need this. We were trying to be Washington State. Or that was with Hakeem. But even before that, with the Alamo, Joe, like you talk about Joe Lannon. Joe knew he was going to get a shot, right? But Joe wanted to be like, Coach, if I need to play fullback, I'll still play. If I need to play tight end, like it wasn't talk of I'm not going to play in a bowl game. So when you have that chemistry and that atmosphere and the idea that you just brought up, oh man, you give us another year.
Like, so you're saying that if it landed when you were a senior, you would have came back for another year?
Oh yeah. Why? Because it's similar to what the guys did now with them coming back. We were just a class earlier than those guys, 2 classes earlier, right? So it's not a different program. We're just older. So what you see what happened this year with guys coming back, we would have made the same decision. Because ultimately, like I said, we loved our teammates. We loved not necessarily winning, but we loved how we started winning. From that's maybe enjoying locker room shenanigans or that workout or just that game or that play or that coach or people around the building. So I think you get those same guys that come back similar to this year, and you see a evolved team that takes another step, because we were going to take another step with those high caliber guys. We're taking another step.
Kyle Kemp goes down. Zeb Nolan plays a little bit, who has a cool story now and playing for South
He's
Carolina.
hurt though, right?
Yeah, he's
Isn't
hurt.
he
But he was going to be a coach and turned up playing.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Pretty cool play.
I've seen that.
Pretty cool story. And then the Okie State game. Dave Montgomery's not playing. So
correct.
The Zeb Nolan plays 2 possessions, and then they bring in Brock Purdy.
Correct.
Just take us through, like, what was your first, like, impression of Brock Purdy? Like, he was just a young pup and goes in and just absolutely dominates Okie State. Were you like, holy crap, or like, we seen this in practice? He's a dude.
Yeah, I definitely heard of the Purdy kid before his big show day. Being a defensive guy, I think we spent so much time split once the season starts that it's kind of like we don't really know their game plan or what's going on.
Okay.
And then I guess I kind of once Kyle Kemp did his thing in Oklahoma, I really stopped caring what happens on the other side of the ball, because it was like, man, those guys are putting in work. Who am I to say a guy is deserving that had that same offseason as you? And obviously, I hope everyone changed their outlook on like backup, third string, walk on. Like, man, a guy that's putting in work and deserve it, it will show. So I think when Purdy got in, I think I'm more on the highlights of it, right? How he was doing it. And you talking the pump fake was like, it was exciting to watch. I think on the sideline, I think our comments as defensive backs, it was kind of like, well, I remember myself even saying like, welcome to the Big 12 as a team, right? Because it was like that dual threat finally arrived, and it was like, oh yeah, like we kind of, when you line up a Big 12 quarterback, you see a guy scrambling all over the place and then making DBs pay for not being in zone, or rewarding their receivers 60 yards down the field. So to finally kind of see that approach to our offense, it was exciting, right? And then obviously you tag the name, you tag the classification to it. And it's like, oh wow, that's a young pup actually putting on a show. But yeah, before the highlight, he was definitely talked about in camp. A guy that can put it on the money. Like I said, you don't really see a lot of those running abilities in practice because obviously we can't. We kind of, they early whistle it. So like even like a pump fake, it's rare that you'll kind of jump for that at practice against your quarterback. It's the quarterback running. You just kind of say whatever. But to see it in game versus live, guys trying to take his head off, him hitting guys on a dime, the Hakeem Butler catches. It was beautiful to see. Beautiful to see.
So you said you just referenced the early whistle when you're going against Brock. Do you think, just as a guy that's coached a little bit and been around football a long time, do you think any of that, because everybody's so concerned about getting their big time players hurt in practice, do you think any of that in camp has to do with you have to get acclimated to taking live shots in a game when the season starts? I mean, you know what I mean? Because they're never going to let you get hit in practice because God help the D-back that takes out your star quarterback. But then you have to go to a game and you're taking live shots from people. That's got to be a transition, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah. It's hard to speak on that. I think about it more than I actually try to come up with a solution. Because like you are talking about that quarterback. I was just mentally thinking about this the other day, just like I've been watching a lot of high school ball out here, right? And it's like, man, the quarterback is on the ground every play. And I think it's more of a mental thing that is like, man, I know I'm playing quarterback. I know I have to be a tough son of a gun to play this position. So I don't think, like I said, I don't have a solution. I think it's more like, man, you just kind of know, you know your quarterback, you know your leader, you know if he'll throw in the towel, you know when he can't go. Like I said, I've seen those guys after the game come in, and it's like, I don't think people process throwing that ball and the wear it gives on your arm and throwing it at those speeds. So I don't know if you can actually get ready for that. And then, like you said, like you don't want to be that DB or that guy that kind of takes a player out. That's tough.
Your teammate,
especially on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Then you'd finally get recognized for that.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't be that guy. But we've had quarterbacks that can take a lick, right? You had your Jacob Park that, like, he's the kind of practice guy that he'll taunt you, right? He want to get the physical. I think come from SEC ball, right? I think they made practice a different way or something. I don't know. But he came with the attitude of, Coach, don't blow the whistle, right? Like, I can make that move. You had a guy like Joe Lannon, obviously, that made that transition over and showed his durability and toughness. Like, those are guys that don't mind getting bumped around. But like I said, even for those guys, it was a whistle blown. So, it's, the injury game is a tough mechanism to grasp.
So I get one question. I want to make sure you still there. We lose him again.
Maybe
I heard him.
he's
You still there?
There he is. Yeah,
We're good.
Right?
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we're good. So there's one question I want to make sure I ask you, is that I heard somebody in the program told me when you were playing, you were the strongest player on the team. True?
Pound for pound, probably.
Pound for pound, I think I did take that title. I got to give credit to high school ball. We were a powerhouse. So I definitely give credit to those guys. That's what started me on that the route of that, and just being a tough guy. But I think I don't know. I think I had pride in it. I don't think I seen it as anything other than, I got to do it. And I think, I don't really know how to label it. I think it was just like a natural thing. It's like, all right, why. I don't know. I started to fall in love with the numbers until it was kind of all right, I'm getting too big. I think I was more of a numbers guy. I think because in high school we were like, I think we called it like a triple plate. Like that was like the badge of honor. So it's like, all right, I can't wait to be able to bench, like to say that. Like I always competed with wherever I could, and like even in high school, we had that record wall of guys that came before me. Like I said, we had great players that come through that powerhouse, like a Danny McCrae's, Ed Oliver, top 10 pick, and these like they're shattering records. So I wanted to be one of those guys. So I would obviously go to my position and see where I was, and to see like the Broderick Brown that went to Oklahoma State, to see his name up there and to say like, wow, he was doing that. I think that's just always motivated me. And it ultimately it gave me that presence as a player, because as a young player, nobody really cares to know who you are. But I think my weight room efforts kind of gave me that head start of like, oh, wait, who is this little dude? That's like, I got some notoriety of like, who is this guy? So I would say that did help.
So, like outside of football, how was like Campbell and your time at Iowa State shaped into the human being you've been? Like outside, how's it helped you transfer into real life, quote unquote?
Oh
football?
Man, it was. I needed it more than I understood at the time. And I can say is what he said, but I think it was more of just being able to be that captain and actually like walk in his footsteps. So like a lot of times a football player, you don't get the opportunity to intern. So I was a guy that I obviously understood that, and I had to make use of my time. So like say I was traveling and we went to like Big 12 Media Day. Like that, I used that as like my internship, right? Of how this head coach is carrying himself. How is he talking? How is he treating other people? How does he speak about the team? How does he carry? You know what I mean? Just all of those things. I would say that kind of helped me more than just saying, let's win games and all that. I kind of took that extra step. And like I said before with the program, you got guys like Coach Hillman, Haycock with wisdom. So like these guys were giving me my Max Lucado books, and like Coach G giving me Superman novels of neuron science. And it's like I was just grabbing different things from everywhere because we had those resources. Like, and that's why I say that's what a program is. We had a nutritionist. So it was like I was just coming an all-around person. And I think that process in his program shaped me in the fashion of like I said, multifaceted, like a guy that had no internships, a guy that had no real life experience in business, right? Of how to do a transaction. It was right before our eyes. We had a media team. We had Moto working the camera. We had photo shoots. We had KL6 photos. And I just, like I said, it was right in front of us. And I was blessed enough to actually be able to digest what was presented. And I would say that ultimately shaped who I am and my life after football, which I'm not done with. So that would be interesting in itself to keep living on a legacy and carrying on that.
So what's going on? What are you insinuating there? What are you up to?
I'm actually going to play overseas.
Really?
It's a neat deal. I considered playing professional overseas, but now I signed up for England University to get my master's and play another year with a group of teammates. So
very good. So is this like a college over there, or is it a pro?
Yep, it'll be university. It'll be a college. They're not, I guess, tied to the NCAA, so eligibility is out the window. With me already having a degree, they have a master's program pretty much set up for guys in my position. So it's a neat deal. It's cool. A way, obviously, for me to pour back into younger guys. and also use my expertise to continue to play the game, or my skill to continue to play the game. So I think it'd be a great atmosphere.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I've never heard of such a thing, but we'll be following you now. We got to.
Yeah, I know when Cyclone Nation get a hold of it, I definitely the streams will go up.
Yeah, well, Daniel Dozie played basketball at Iowa State. He plays professionally in England, and so he actually came and worked a couple of my basketball camps when I was coaching here in small town Iowa. And I've still got his cell number, and I hear from him every once in a while. But I know he's playing at Bristol in England somewhere, I think.
That's exactly where I'm headed. I'm headed to Bristol, University of West of England.
Well, you got another Iowa. You got another Cyclone over there that you can look up. I know he's still playing there. I'm still following him on Instagram, so I know what's going on. So, did you see Instagram and Facebook went down today?
Yeah, it shut down all day today.
That's crazy.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody, all of a sudden, everybody got a lot more time in their hands because Instagram and Facebook wasn't working.
Right. Maybe that was a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
It was a social media break.
Everybody all of a sudden started getting along.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, well, we really appreciate you coming on. It was
a lot of fun. You're a good guy. You're as advertised. Everybody that I've talked to, Lane Danielson, other guys that you said you're a good guy. So it's you're as advertised. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, shout out to Lane. That was my college mentor. So I got to give him a lot of credit for being an alumni, stepping in, and like you said, the life after football. He definitely opened my eyes to what was possible and what he's doing. I know he's doing some big things too. So
he still looks like he could play.
Sure.
Lane still looks like he could play. He's in terrific shape.
Oh, yeah. Probably I give him a high 4.4.
So am I crazy, or do I hear little ones playing in the background?
Yeah, that's my nephew.
That's what I thought. So I want to make sure everybody knows that I don't have the dog in the background or something banging and stuff. I heard somebody playing with something.
That's my nephew. He actually had a great performance yesterday. 2 touchdowns at running back.
Really?
First year, yeah. He's actually 6, and it's crazy because kids start young here.
That's what I was actually going to ask you. You're from Houston, right?
Yes, sir.
So when was the first time you put on a helmet and hit somebody? How old were you?
I think I was 4. I can't say I was good. I can't say I was actually effective, but it's just built in, right? It's like, man, put this helmet on, put these pants that go to your ankles, and run around and run around. Because we're kind of doing it anyway, and that's pretty much how it is. And I think the cool part about these programs is you actually have coaches being patient and actually getting the kids lined up to learn the game. Like I remember I even give credit to my father. I remember just being in a yard. I don't know why we don't still use this in a game, but it was like it's like this pad of lining, right? And it said center, and it had a space, and it said guard, and it had a space, and it said tackle. And like I just remember like lining up and just doing reps of 24 dive, 22, learning my evens and odds. And it almost gave me that enablement of making it my own, right? So I started playing with my NASCARs, and I started lining them up, and I started playing football with my cars. So awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people think it's like absurd, like 5, 6, 7. But even like I see in my nephew, he's already taking that initiative of like he's telling me I need to get lower when I'm trying to tackle him. Just trying to implement the game. And like I said, when you have those coaches, I think it'd be a beautiful thing of not just throwing them out there, but actually like I said, yesterday at the game, it was a 6-year-old ball, and they throwing the ball.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's crazy to me. I just being able to see him play and in the level, like I said, I give credit to the program and coaches because I'm really not an advocate for it because I'm kind of like, why do he need to take hits at 6? But like I said, when you see your coaches actually saying, this is when you make that cut, this is what that look like, this is your pad level, this is where your helmet is placed. When it's done the right way, I think I'm definitely an advocate for it.
So does your nephew have a Breece Hall jersey?
Nah, he don't have a Breece Hall jersey. I think I have a brother that actually plays at New Mexico, so I think we don't
got a Lobo jersey
right now.
Really?
We're on the Buffaloes wave. Yeah, I have a brother. First year, he's playing cornerback there. Actually got to see him play against Texas A&M.
Wow.
They threw him in for 2 halves, and he had a great performance. So right now we diving in. We still Cyclones, but we on Albuquerque.
Yeah, I was actually born in Albuquerque.
That's where he was born.
Yeah.
He was born in Albuquerque. Yeah,
that's a nice place. It's actually it's a nice place. I didn't imagine to see what I seen. Like, it's a city atmosphere. Like, got some great restaurants.
Oh, the food is phenomenal. Food is
it's a great place.
And the climate is really. I mean, it's kind of Texas, but you cool off. You don't have the Houston, Dallas heat all of the time. I mean, yeah. So you get a break. It is an interesting. There's a reason that they shot Breaking Bad there, though. It's kind of interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time. It's been really fun getting to know one of the best cornerbacks to ever play at Iowa State, and it's probably you, Leonard Johnson, and Ellis Hobbs, the best, and Anthony Johnson.
Oh man, Ellis, he definitely gave some gems too. I say it's a great alumni base. But I think it was pretty cool to see those guys come around when they could and actually be invested and be involved. But Ellis is definitely a great guy too. Oh yeah,
and he's a Cyclone to the bone too.
Yeah, he is.
Oh yeah. He's my guy too.
Well, good luck with everything in England. It was really a lot of fun talking to you, man. You're like Lane said, you're just an upbeat kind of guy, and it's always fun to see somebody that goes through life with a smile on their face and being positive about everything. So it was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.